is an important communication tool. I can't imagine what my life would be like without it. How would I feel if I looked at this page and couldn't understand what it said?
I could tell you how you'd feel. Frustrated. I just read an article about some research on a new cancer treatment. I could read all of the words, but I didn't really understand everything it said. It assumed I knew more about genetics than I do.
That's a good point. Reading is more than just recognizing words. If we can't understand what we read, we can't think about it or react to it, and we certainly won't be able to use or apply the new information. There are reasons why new readers might not understand what they read, but there also are several strategies they can learn to improve their understanding.
We're going to observe Carol as she works with a group of adults to practice some of these strategies. The students have already learned a lot about reading during their lessons together. One of them, Sarah, only recently joined the group. She often stays after class for individual tutoring with Carol.
In a few moments, you'll see these women as they try to read a newspaper article about a proposal to build a shopping mall in their neighborhood. In order to help them understand what they're about to read, Carol first encourages them to discuss the topic to see what they already know about it. Let's watch how this is done before the reading.
You've all told me that you'd like to have a better understanding of what you read in the newspaper, so I thought that's what we might work on today. I copied a couple articles out of today's newspaper that I thought might be interesting. One is on the recycling program that's going to start next month, and the other one is about the shopping mall that's being proposed for this neighborhood.
A shopping mall? Let's do that one.
And why did you pick that one, Sarah?
Well, I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and also on the TV they said that it was going to be one of the biggest shopping malls in the area. It's going to change things around here, having a mall.
Well, that's one vote for the mall. How about you two?
Fine with me.
Sure.
Okay, great. Let's talk about shopping malls. How do you feel about them? And would you like to have one around here?
Well, I go to Highland Park when I can, but it's tough to get there. I do like having so many different kinds of stores together.
Oh, and me too. Well, there are hardly any stores around here anymore. All we have is a bar, a small grocery store, and a laundromat.
Was it always like that? I didn't grow up around here.
No, when my mother was growing up, there were a lot of good stores around here. But it seems as if they're all gone out of business or they moved away somewhere else.
Well, it sounds like you wouldn't mind having more stores in the area. So, let's look at the article and find out more about this new mall. Now, what does the headline tell you? How does the City Council feel about the shopping mall? Ernie, would you like to read it?
City Council divided over shopping mall proposal. I guess they don't agree about the proposal. Maybe they think it's not a good idea.
Well, let's look at the map and just look at where they're planning on putting this. That's the shaded area there. Do you recognize any of the street names, Liz?
Yes, there's Market Street and Barnard Avenue. That's really close to where I live.
Oh, and look, here is Maple Street. Right. That's right here, 2 blocks from here.
Oh, yeah. Right. Now, so what would you like to know about the mall?
How about when are they going to build it?
And why some of the people are against it.
And Ernie, how about you?
I would just like to know if they're going to have a supermarket. Make life a lot easier.
Before we start to read, let's look at what you've done already. You've just been using 2 of the strategies or tools that help us understand what we read. Here, I've tried to write some of them down on a list for you. You should think of them as questions to ask yourselves. Think about the first 2 questions. Number 1, what is this going to be about? Now you use the headline and the map to help you figure that out. And question 2, what do I already know about this topic? You found that out as you discussed Highland Park Mall and the variety of stores that there are there, and how you'd like more stores in this neighborhood, like there used to be.
Right.
And you've already heard a little bit about the proposed mall on television. It's kind of like a warm-up exercise before you start to read something.
Kind of like push-ups for your head, huh, Carol?
Sort of like that, yeah. Okay, let's look at question 3 now. What's my purpose for reading this? You see, sometimes we read for pleasure, and sometimes we read for information, to learn something. And you read differently depending on the purpose, okay? Each of you wanted to find out something different.
And I wanted to find out why some people were against the mall.
And you will. But first, let's look at some of the words that you're going to see in the story. Knowing these will help you better understand it. Now, the first words on the list are the council and 2 of its members. Would you please read them after me? Sue Schmidt.
Sue Schmidt.
Sue Smith. Sue Smith? I think she lives somewhere over by me.
Yes, she does. She's the new council person elected to represent our neighborhood.
It should be pretty interesting to see how she feels about it. I bet you she's for it.
Perhaps. Why don't we write that up here as our first guess or prediction, okay? And later we'll see if you're right. Sue is for the mall. Now, let's look at the rest of the words.
Adjoining. Adjoining.
Adjoining?
Yes, for example, those are adjoining bookcases.
Oh, like they come together.
That's right, okay. And what about the next word? You want to give it a try, Sarah?
Sure. Forum. Forum.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what that means.
Well, why don't we wait until we find it in the story, because I think you're going to be able to figure it out, okay? All right, let's read the first paragraph. I think it might be a little hard, so why don't I read it, okay?